Let's go ahead and get started. Thanks again for joining us. My name is Matt Kennel of AFC Vacations, and I've had the pleasure of working with Randy and the incredible AFC staff for just over 2 years now. I personally have been in the guided travel industry for almost 30 years in roles that include sales, group sales, operations, marketing, product development, and guest services. So it's been a great career in the travel industry and wonderful time working with AFC, even during our rocky pandemic period over the last year or so. So we're all very excited. Things are looking brighter again, and tours are hitting the road. I'll be joined today later in the presentation by our marketing representative, Will Reese. Before Will's role in marketing, Will was a tour manager for over 10 years. As he likes to say, he's led tours from Costa Rica to Costa Mesa and from the Grand Canyon to the Grand Canal of Venice. So Will be joining us here for the third hour of the presentation. No, I'm just kidding. Presentation should be about 45 minutes or so. So Will be joining in just a few minutes. Again, we're so excited that we have tours getting back on the road again. June was the biggest month for AFC in terms of travelers since December of 2019. So that's a pretty long period during the pandemic, the largest that any of us obviously have encountered in our travel career. So it's so excited to be busy again for the right reasons, tours hitting the roads and people out traveling. The last month has been incredibly busy, and we appreciate you all, your continued bookings with AFC as things look brighter and brighter. You'll see in the middle of the screen here, 22 dates now available. Just last week, the latest AFC brochure was mailed via email and is now posted on the website. And that brochure has many 2022 dates for about 90% of our programs. We've released 22 dates. And then additionally, that brochure, those of you that are on the snail mail list will get that brochure. Those will be mailed the end of this week, so they should start hitting mailboxes towards the end of next week and the following week. So please look for that brochure in the mail, but it is also posted on the website as well. All right. So AFC stands for Affordable First Class. I know some folks that live in San Diego think that stands for America's Finest City. But Affordable First Class from the beginning has been was Randy's foundational goals to deliver value to his customers, the AFC customers, and that means good prices, but yet maintaining a certain level of quality. And I will say AFC is definitely mission accomplished there, and that's still something that guides us to this day. So that is Randy in the upper left-hand corner in his first office in San Diego. Below that, that's Randy and I just a couple months ago here in our San Diego office. And to the right, that is one of our the first AFC programs that went out to the Canadian Rockies in 1982. So before we get into the other reasons, the advantages of AFC and why you should travel with AFC, commitment to wellness on tour and what's different in travel are important points to touch on a little bit. This presentation that we did in April compared to now in late June and compared to what it'll be in August, things are very fluid, right? So guidelines and mask mandates and these types of things that are impacting travel are really being eased and removed almost on a weekly basis as more folks continue to get vaccinated and as our economy continues to open. So we're making obviously wellness our number one priority, but some of the things, if you were to go on a tour today, these are some of the things that are in place. And a month from now and 2 months from now, these things will certainly be changing. So mask requirements are currently still required on board a motor coach. We're very hopeful that will be lifted soon, just as masks are currently required in airports and airplanes. TSA has extended that through the early part of September, but they are getting a lot of pressure to lift some of those requirements sooner than the September deadline. So again, very fluid environment, and some of these requirements and/or mandates will certainly be changing in the coming weeks as we continue to reopen. Vendor temperature checks are still out there, But again, many of our vendors were doing more temperature checks in April than they're doing today. So that's something that's definitely easing. More cleaning protocols. Hopefully these protocols that hotels, motor coach companies, and airplanes are doing, hopefully those things will stay in place. Some of the other things you might see are more empty seats at airplane terminals, as well as some restaurants maybe still closed at airport terminals. But again, as June was the busiest travel month for the U.S. since the pandemic. So, things at airports are continuing to open as things ramp up. And why some restaurants have not opened in airports really has to do more with staffing than it does to lack of business. Airports are very, very busy right now, and that's an economic issue. The staffing problem that is getting better, but is a lingering issue that will continue to get better and improve through the summer months into the fall, where we have limited staffing at times at hotels, restaurants, and airports for the busy summer season. One of the other things you'll see on tours are still health surveys and waivers, as well as when you check in with airlines, you need to fill out a health survey. So again, these things are in place currently and are week to week and month to month being slowly lifted. AFC advantage. When you look at the advantages of AFC as a whole, it's really tough to beat what AFC provides for your vacation, the level of service they provide. And that's really where AFC starts is with people. And, we like to say real people, real service. And AFC has an incredible staff. They're truly the best, and they really care about your experience from the time you book your trip to the time you get back home. And that's really refreshing in this age of increased technology and trying to limit personal interaction. AFC is really still giving that personal touch in customer service with a great and experienced staff. Home airport pickup service. AFC is one of the first companies to include home airport pickups as an included feature on our tour services. We pick you up at home and take you to the airport. Of course, if you live a great distance or have other ways you prefer to get to the airport, you can take a reduction through reservations and get a slightly reduced price as well. So home airport pickup service is an inclusion, just like round trip airfare, which really makes the AFC packages that you see a great value. In addition to the great value and the prices we have, there's lots of ways to save money. Our cash early booking savings is very, very popular, and as well as the single room savings. These savings, when you combine them, can save upwards of hundreds of dollars. And when you get into some of the savings, we'll show you in a moment on river cruises, those savings can get over in the range of $1,000 per person. So lots of ways to save money with AFC. In addition to the cash early booking and single room, we have multiple vacation savings, recruit a friend, refer a friend savings as well. And of course, right now we have different savings where you keep more money in the bank with the lower risk deposits. So I touched on earlier the inclusivity of the AFC package. Round trip air is included. Most travel brochures you would get in the mail or pick up would be land only rates. AFC not only includes the airfare, they also include the home airport pickup service, and you can choose your closest local airport. Right, if you live right between LAX and SNA, or right between Austin and Dallas, two people might have different reasons why they prefer one airport over the other. So you can choose your closest local airport. You can upgrade to economy plus or business class. And again, most of the inclusive rates in our brochure kind of span from California through Texas. But if you have friends or family that would like to join you from any other gateway in the U.S. or even Canada, we can make that happen. And there'll either be a slight supplement for your friends and family to join, or sometimes a reduction based on that air gateway. So worldwide tours and cruises, really AFC can send you anywhere you want to go. We pride ourselves on a variety of tours and cruise opportunities, whether you want a European river cruise, an exciting train tour, a visit through some of our incredible national parks, or the beauty of Italy. AFC really does it all. And you'll see in the middle there some of the product styles. We reference train tours. We do classic tours like our New England foliage programs. We do limited Unpack Once tours, and River Cruise would fall into that. Unpack Twice programs. Of course, our very popular mystery tours, special event programs, which would be like our brochure covers, the Albuquerque Balloon Fiesta or the San Antonio Fiesta in April. We also do the Portland Rose Festival the first weekend of June. And so we do several special event tours as well. Adventure travel, for example, Peru, South America will be back in 22. European river cruising, and we also do U.S. steamboat cruises on the Mississippi, and ocean cruising, of course, which is coming. Is a little bit behind tours, but ocean cruising, the first ocean cruise from a U.S. port with paying passengers went out over the weekend. So we fully expect ocean cruising to be back and booming again in 2022, which is a great sight to see. Memorable dining experiences. If you've ever been on a tour, you know how memorable a meal can be when you combine it with a little local flavor, a little fun, maybe a little culture. And, we like to call that, because it varies obviously from one destination to the next, we call that a memorable dining experience. And pictured here are a few examples from the New Orleans School of Cooking to a lobster fest in Maine or Cape Cod. Down on the bottom right, that's on our California Rail Discovery. That's the beautiful Napa Valley wine train. And then to the left there, that's a couple enjoying dinner with included wine on a European river cruise. So wherever the tour destination takes you, or the river cruise destination takes you with AFC, we try to include some memorable dining experiences to enhance your trip. Quality accommodations, from the Hilton Sedona Resort to the Grand Hotel on Mackinac Island to the DoubleTree in Cape Cod. AFC selects hotels, resorts, and ships for comfort, location, service, and amenities, and kind of a combination of all those factors. Obviously, the choice of a hotel in a national park area versus a resort area, the hotel choices or the resort choices are very different. But we really try to combine quality with a something that really captures the experience of the area. It's important to protect your investment with AFC. We provide a low-cost travel protection plan. That is basically the primary cost factor of that is your cancellation protection, which allows you to cancel for a medical reason. And we also have included in that a cancel for any reason benefit. So great protection for you, very flexible. And that really can protect your investment in the event that something was to happen. In addition to that, AFC is a member brand of the USTOA, which is the United States Tour Operators Association, which are the 50 finest tour companies in the United States. And that provides a $1 million in travelers and assistance program. A big separator, and all these are incredible selling points, and one of the big separators of an AFC tour often comes down to the experienced and knowledgeable tour managers. AFC really has an amazing team. They lead trips all over the world. They're well-trained, traveled professionals, great storytellers, problem solvers, and they want to make sure you have a little fun while we're touring as well. So all very different in their personalities, but they all enhance the actual tour experience and are incredibly knowledgeable. And the saying in the industry goes, a tour manager can truly make or break a guided travel experience, and that's certainly true with the great AFC staff here. So you see Deb Howard in the upper left-hand corner, then Chris, Denise, Chuck, Brad, and Pat, just to name 6 of our great tour managers that lead the AFC programs. So guaranteed departures during the pandemic were really anything but. A lot of destinations were simply not safe to travel, or travelers were not comfortable traveling, certainly, and destinations were just not ready. So as things really start to normalize again, especially domestically, and as the fall continues, European travel will be back starting in August. But guaranteed departures, there's many programs that are guaranteed throughout the fall. You see there's several in October that are not even listed. We couldn't fit them all, but guaranteed departures means the tourist is ready to go, barring a unique circumstance like a pandemic. So, but lots of programs, and the latest brochure, we've added 10 or 12 additional guaranteed departures to the fall mix. So if we look back about a year and 3 months, think back, what was in high demand? Well, it was toilet paper. People were hoarding toilet paper. Well, June of 21, it really has felt like travel is kind of the new toilet paper in a good way, in that demand to travel is incredibly high right now. People are ready to go. And that's been true at AFC. It's been true throughout the industry, and we're so thankful for that. One thing to keep in mind is you hear about air rates going up and hotel rates going up. AFC rates are inclusive of round trip air and those hometown pickups. So, there's times that air will cost us more than we've budgeted, and that is, we're absorbing those fees. So AFC rates are always a great value, but they are this year with the high demand of travel. I can tell you that they are an incredible value right now, what you're getting in the AFC brochure. So you'll probably hear that now that I've said it, if you haven't heard it already. That's a joke been kind of going around the industry over the last few weeks, that travel is the new toilet paper. So after the show, if you are interested in making reservations, how do you do that? You can call us. The number's there. The numbers are obviously all over the website, all over our brochure. You can email Joe or Claudia. You can certainly visit us at afcvacations.com, and on our forms page or each of our tours, you can actually go ahead and book online and fill out a reservation form. And please be sure, whether you call, email, or submit a form, to use the VTS show special code of VTS 150. So what does that mean? What does VTS 150 do for you? Well, here are the show specials for today's attendees. So if you book a new 21 or 22 tour or European river cruise, and again, this goes into 22 now, within 1 week of the show, it's actually 9 days. So by next Friday, July 9th, we have a low risk deposit of $150. And now the brochure deposit right now is $199. So for attending the show, we're letting you keep a little bit more money in the bank. So the low risk deposit right now for attending is $150. Also, this is listed in the brochure, but it's an incredible value, is a 1 category upgrade. That's a brochure offer, but these will expire very soon. I know we're getting a lot of bookings on the April 26th, Normandy, Paris, and the Seine River Cruise that Deb is hosting. That departure is on its way to selling out over the next month and a half. So please consider that. But right now you can upgrade 1 category, and we'll cover that in a little bit more detail. Additionally, if you were to book and pay for your travel protection plan, which we encourage you to do with deposit, you can take $20 off the TPP cost. So again, that savings code is 150, VTS 150. And again, all these savings, these are in addition to the regular savings options you see in the brochure. And will again summarize these towards the end of the show as well. So before I turn it over to Will, I just wanted to give a kind of a personal note on river cruising. Being in the industry for 30 years, I often get asked is where is your favorite destination? And my response to that is really anywhere. But then when pressed, no, really, where is it? I say I'll go anywhere in Europe at any time. And then when people talk about tour or cruise or different modes of transportation or train, touring and train tours are absolutely incredible. And they're all one C and one B, but European river cruising in the areas where you can take a European river cruise ship is just an incredible way to travel. Whether it's down, you can't go everywhere on a river cruise ship, but those areas where you can, like the Danube or the Holland waterways or the Rhine, the Danube goes all the way out to the Black Sea. Those areas where you can travel by river cruise, it's just a wonderful way to travel. Why is that? Because I think it really combines the best of touring and cruising. It's a more intimate setting than an ocean cruise. A sold out river cruise ship, we're usually going to be in the 150 passenger range based on the number of singles that are sold. So most of these ships that we'll show you today are about 80 cabins. So you mix in some singles, we'll be in that 146, 154 passengers or so range. Instead of, comparatively an ocean cruise now, they're pushing 5,000 plus passengers. And then the other big thing about European river cruises is the size of the ship and just the scope of what that allows you to do, and that the destinations really come to you. So there's nothing like waking up on the shores of the Danube and just going for a little stroll, popping out of the cabin, going for a little stroll along the river before you start your day of touring, or meeting the local guide just off the ship within steps of your cabin. So easy to get on and off the ship and discover the beauty and the cultures of Europe. But at the same time, like an ocean cruise, obviously one of the huge benefits in ocean cruise is that if you're taking a week cruise, 6 or 7 nights, you unpack and settle into your comfortable stateroom. And that's a huge advantage of European river cruising as well, is that unpack component of it. And, so again, just a phenomenal way to travel. Final story. April of last year, my wife and I were scheduled to go on a southern France river cruise to Burgundy and Provence. Very excited. I hadn't done that cruise for 10 or 12 years. Incredibly excited to go. Certainly obviously the pandemic suspended that program. So we vowed our next international trip has to be another European river cruise. So we were set and excited to go to the Danube and the Christmas markets of the Danube in December of 2020. Well, that didn't work out so well either. The pandemic went a little bit longer than I think any of us anticipated. So now we're there. Europe is opening. Our first trip to Europe at AFC will be this September. And we actually have a group going in August to Iceland, a private group. So Iceland will be our first trip in August, but Europe is open. So I, with my wife, will be attending the November 30th Christmas markets, Switzerland, the Christmas markets of the Rhine River. It's aboard the beautiful Imperial river cruise ship that really came out in 2020, but obviously with the pandemic, it didn't get used much last year. So it's for all essential purposes, it's a brand new ship. Will cover that in a little bit more in a few minutes. But if you haven't been, the Christmas markets, you'll see in the upper right side of the screen, the Christmas markets is just an incredible time of the year. As long as you don't mind putting on a coat, it's just the crowds are down, very cultural time of the year. A lot of locals are out during the Christmas markets in the city centers of all these villages along the Rhine, along the Danube, and even in Holland. But just a beautiful and wonderful time to travel to Europe. So Will cover that program in a little bit more depth now. And I'm going to turn things over to Will. Will has led European river cruises all over Europe, whether it's the waterways of Holland to Normandy, out to Normandy from Paris on the Seine. He's been on the Rhine. He's cruised on the Danube all the way to the Black Sea. So very experienced tour manager and also a very experienced river cruise manager as well. So Will, please take it away.
Well, thank you, Matt. It is a pleasure to be here today and talk to you a little bit about travel. Things really did kind of flip over like a light switch in April, and our trips are moving fast. So please remember that when you're looking at 2021 tours and cruises. The European river cruises are one of my true passions. I've been able to lead several of them along with several colleagues, and it really is a wonderful way to see Europe. I'll talk a little bit about the benefits of river cruising. First and foremost, it's different from ocean cruise lines. You're not dealing with thousands and thousands of passengers on board the ships. We have ships anywhere from 145 to 160 people, passengers and crew. And it really does make a big difference in terms of the space on board and your interactions with other people. It's kind of like a small, tight-knit family in some cases. One of the other components is that it provides a value. We do charter all of our ships, and that allows us to create a better pricing deal for you folks. And it really does keep the experience strong at a 5-star experience. One of my favorite components is to unpack once. So you settle into the cruise ship, into your cabin, you unpack your suitcase, and you're able to settle in. Then we dock in many cases right in the heart of the historic city centers, because most of the rivers do run right through the city. And that allows you to come on and off the ship right into town really, really easily. It makes a huge difference. Then in many cases, we include most of our sightseeing excursions. Many you just walk off the ship, as I mentioned, meet your local guides at the port, and carry on walking tours or via motor coach. Then on a nightly basis, we include entertainment, whether that's piano music or guitars or singing. I also have some trivia nights, so a lot of fun on board in the lounge in the evenings. Then on board, all of the commentary done by both the cruise manager as well as the tour managers are done in English. Since we charter the ship, all of our passengers are generally American, and we do have that onboard commentary in English. Also creates an easier communication path with the ship staff. So our tour and cruise managers, plus your onboard ship staff, are very friendly and easy to get along with. They do so much work behind the scenes and really do a great job for our folks. With some of the benefits of river cruising, we also include Wi-Fi on board. So free Wi-Fi with our river cruises. And if anybody knows me, they know I like to eat. Dining experiences on board the river cruises are a step above, really. From breakfast, whether it's in the dining room at the buffet, or you can also order some options off the menu in our Panorama Lounge, Panorama Restaurant. Lunch, you actually have two options. You can do a light alternative buffet in the Panorama Lounge upstairs, or in the Panorama Restaurant across from the front desk. The restaurant does have a full-scale menu. So a couple options there. Around 3 or 4 o'clock in the afternoons, almost every single day, depending on whether you're out and about on an excursion or primarily travel days, we have snacks, desserts, pastries, small sandwiches, as well as tea and coffee. So afternoon snacks almost on a daily basis. Dinners on board are a whole different experience. And we do have a single seating in the Panorama Restaurant. It covers a 4-course meal with many, many entree choices, and a lot of times they'll incorporate some regional specialties. Speaking of regional, we do include regional wines and beers with all of our dinners on board. Regional wines just means the ship staff selects one red and one white wine each night from a different region. So it gives you the opportunity to try a lot of different wines. I'm going to talk a little bit about our first departure, which will be this coming November in 2021, and that'll be on board the MS Amadeus Imperial. This is a fantastic ship, as Matt mentioned. It was built in 2020, so barely even used. And this ship runs about 443 feet long and 37.5 feet wide. It's got hallways right down the middle of the ship. So on each side are cabins, meaning each cabin is an outside cabin. Much different from ocean cruise lines where you might have those inside cabins with no room. But 4 decks and a maximum of about 165-ish passengers. So with the Amadeus Imperial, you can see a couple of the suite category on the right-hand side, kind of the standard categories, category C and B right in the middle, 188 square foot room. They're actually quite spacious, and you can see that French window, kind of a fold down window. And then the category E and D on the left. And here's a deck plan, a layout of the ship. Again, you have the sun deck with all sorts of activities, whether it's shuffleboard, chessboard. On some of our ships, they have a little miniature golf. So a lot of options up on deck, as well as enjoying just the overall scenery outside of playing games. It really is a fantastic way to travel. Then the Mozart deck, which has the Panorama Lounge towards the front, the Strauss deck, and the restaurant across from the reception area, and the Hayden deck. So here's our first departure for the year on river cruises, and that's Switzerland and the Christmas markets on the Rhine River. We did this trip about 2 years ago, just before the pandemic, in about December of 2019, and it was a fantastic journey. Myself and one of our colleagues traveled around and did the same itinerary where we flew into Zurich. We'll spend 1 night in Lucerne and get a chance to do a walking tour in Lucerne. Now, that's your one and only opportunity for Swiss chocolate and Swiss fondue, so make sure you grab some of that while you're there. From Lucerne, we'll head up to Strasbourg, France, in the Alsace region, and it truly is a spectacular town. So here's some photos of Lucerne with the Chapel Bridge, and also around Lucerne you have a number of swan families that are glazing over the water. Then you have the Alps in the background. And then here is Strasbourg, France. And we'll do a walking tour in Strasbourg the following day after we board the ship. Again, the beautiful Alsace region. And one of the main components of Strasbourg is the cathedral. We'll tour the cathedral. And then right outside the cathedral are the Christmas markets. And that's the case in many of these cities. So you'll have some free time to explore the Christmas markets in Strasbourg. Then we'll head from Strasbourg to one of my favorites in this little gem of a town called Speyer. And this town is, I was very unfamiliar with it. I had heard a little bit about it, but it really caught me by surprise. You walk right off the ship, just a few blocks, and you're right next to this beautiful reddish cathedral. So we do tour the cathedral there. We'll walk through town. The local guides will explain all about this little beautiful town on the river. And then you'll also have some time for the Christmas market there. In all, we'll incorporate 6 different Christmas markets on this tour. And then again, there's some components, some areas where you can explore additional ones. This is the town of Cochem. It's along the Moselle River. So it's a little offshoot just to the west of the Rhine. And up on the hillside is this castle called Reichsburg Castle. Beautiful building up there that we do get a chance to tour. And then you'll also walk through the main town where the Christmas market is located, both along the bridge and in the main city center. We'll also do a wine tasting on the other side of the Moselle River to give you a chance to try the famous Riesling of Germany. A little bit sweeter wine. They also produce Pinot Noir. So if you're a big wine fan, that's a great opportunity there. But this is also one of my favorite little towns. Then we head north. We go to Koblenz, usually getting into Koblenz in the afternoon with a walking tour and some free time there. And then we head up to Cologne. And Cologne is a major city within Germany, famous for its cathedral. So we do a walking tour through Old Town Cologne. You'll see some of the more modern buildings as well. And then we end the tour at the cathedral. We'll do a tour inside the cathedral and then give you about half a day to explore around Cologne. And right next to the cathedral, as I mentioned before, are the Christmas markets. And this is one of the largest ones there. So this is a fantastic opportunity. The Christmas markets really are my favorite way to do Christmas shopping. All sorts of different options, whether it's ornaments, little trinkets from Germany. Also, when you do Glühwein, if you taste the Glühwein there, most of these Christmas markets have keepsake mugs. So that's a fantastic gift to bring home to your family as well. And we'll go into a video of Normandy and Paris, which is our next cruise. So our Normandy, Paris, and the Seine River cruise has two separate dates in April and October of next year. The October 4th is nearly sold out, and the April 26th has Deb Howard as one of the tour managers, and that's also going quick. If you're considering doing this departure, please don't wait, as cabins are selling pretty fast. April has already told us that they're being requested quite frequently in the last couple of days since we did put Deb on that departure. So with this program, it's a 9-day trip, and you'll fly in and out of Paris. From there, you'll work your way up to Conflans, and that's a beautiful medieval town. As you're working your way out to the coastline, you'll end up in the town of Rouen. I'll talk a little bit about that. You'll spend 7 nights aboard the Amadeus Diamond, and I'll talk more as we make our way. But ultimately, you'll end up at the coastline, and that is Normandy, the Normandy coast. And you'll visit the American Cemetery, which has over 9,000 soldiers buried from D-Day. D-Day and the events right after that from World War II. So June 6th, almost 76 years ago. So one of the things about this cemetery, you'll see all sorts of vets walking the grounds, and it really truly is a moving memorial to these soldiers. Then we'll head over to Omaha Beach. You'll get a chance to walk on the beach itself that was recovered by the Americans as we were working our way inland. This was June 6th, 1944. You'll get a chance to see the famous memorial there on the beach, and then work your way out along the coast, visiting Pointe du Hoc. And you can see that in the left-hand side of the image. It was bombed out by the Americans as they were about ready to land on the beaches. But the Ranger battalions, the Army Rangers of the 2nd and 5th Battalion, had to climb over 100-foot cliffs to take out the guns that were expected to be there. 77 Americans died on this battle, and they did make it to the top, only to find the guns had been removed. There were still about 225 German soldiers there defending that area. From Normandy, we'll work our way over to the town of Rouen. And this is a beautiful town. It's the capital of the region of Normandy. So we'll do a walking tour there, as well as a little bit of free time to explore. And ultimately end up in Paris, the City of Lights, where you'll see the Eiffel Tower, the Arc de Triomphe, and we'll pass by the different museums, including the Louvre. I'll give you a little bit of time there if you do want to try to plan your visit. The afternoons is usually a good time to plan those museums. So again, 2 different departure dates, but April 26th, again, has a little bit more room, but not much. They're going pretty quick. The MS Amadeus Diamond is the ship that we'll use on the Seine. It was built in 2009 and renovated just a couple of years ago, so it is quite recent in terms of their development. All of the ships are registered in Germany. This one's a little bit smaller in terms of capacity. Again, that helps in selling these ships out. About 145, 146 passengers on board. It runs about 361 feet in length and 36 feet in width. And again, similar to the Imperial, 4 main decks. And you can see some of the public spaces here. In the left-hand side, you'll see the staircase in the main lobby, main entranceway, up to the different levels. The public areas also include the river terrace, which is on the bow right in front of the panorama lounge. Again, this is a great place to grab a drink, sit outside, and truly enjoy your cruise along the Seine. There is a fitness studio as well as a massage center on board the ship. And then the Amadeus Club, which is in the middle bottom photo. That's a great place to open up a book and just relax. Then we have the Panorama Lounge, which is above the restaurant. And that's where the live entertainment occurs each night, whether it's music or trivia or any other items that we do on board. And of course, the sun deck on the top, where you can walk around or just sit and relax. And our next departure is November 28th of 2022. So we're doing the Rhine this year and the Danube next year. So 2022, November 28th, this is a 9-day trip, Vienna and the Christmas markets of the Danube. It'll be 6 nights aboard the Amadeus Queen, one of my favorite ships and almost home to me on the rivers. And as I mentioned before, we'll include wines and beers as well as in dinner, as well as Wi-Fi on board. We'll start out by flying into Frankfurt. You'll have a day in Frankfurt to visit the Christmas markets. Then we'll head off to Rottenburg, and we'll do a city walking tour as well as a Christmas market there before meeting the ship in Nuremberg. We'll do a Nuremberg walking tour and incorporate some of the World War II history involved in Nuremberg. Get a chance to visit another Christmas market before heading off to Regensburg. Regensburg is a beautiful little village, more of a town. Do a walking tour in the Christmas market there. So on this trip, 4 Christmas markets included, and then along many of the other stops, there are Christmas markets available to you as well. Then we head to Passau, which is a beautiful town, very walkable. And you'll have the opportunity to either have a nice relaxing walk around Passau and the day there. We also offer the optional trip out to Salzburg. So a beautiful trip into Austria on that day. We include Melk Abbey, which you can see in the bottom left-hand corner. Beautiful abbey up on the hillside. And also do a Glühwein tasting. Again, that spiced red wine, which is quite a bit better than it sounds. It actually is really good. Then we head off to Vienna and spend a couple of nights in Vienna and do a Vienna city tour. So that's a great way to wrap up the trip. Again, we include a welcome and farewell dinner that is a step above the regular dinners. The dinners are great, but those welcome and farewells are a little bit fancier. So we hope you take a look at this departure, and then we'll go into some of our more standard tours as we move along. Our mystery tours are some of our most memorable trips, and both Chris and Deb are running our 2021 mystery tours. These are hugely popular and sell out nearly every departure. How does it work? Well, you'll be told the temperature and when to be at the airport. You'll also be told which airline you'll be on, and what time your flight is. Everything else is left to mystery. So once you get checked in at the counter at the airport, that's when you'll find out your first destination. But it may not be where you're staying. So the tour managers will reveal components as the trip develops and may give clues along the way. So these are trips for folks with a sense of adventure and those who don't necessarily need all the details, that kind of like going with the flow. They're creative itineraries with all seasons considered. And we just recently added another date, which is November 2nd. So we did offer a new opportunity for these mystery trips. Coastal Maine Lighthouses and Landscapes. This is a newly designed tour operated this year by Deb Howard on these 2 departures, September 18th and October 9th. You'll get a great taste of the Northeast on this departure with lobster fishing, lighthouses, and the beautiful jagged Atlantic coastline. So we'll fly in and out of Boston with a Boston City tour that features a tour of Fenway Park. You'll actually get a chance to see that beautiful green monster, the left field wall, so famous. And we'll do that city tour in Boston. Then you'll get a chance to go out towards the coast. So once we leave Boston, we'll head up to Maine for 5 nights in either Portland or Kennebunkport and visit the Maine coastline. There you'll see the Portland Head Lighthouse, Cape Nettic Lighthouse, as well as go out on a lobster boat cruise. And that really is a great way to experience the life in Maine, as many people are fishermen out there. One of the most popular components is our lobster bake, and you'll get a bib, crackers, and a pick and go at the lobster like the locals do, direct from the ocean to the kitchen to your plate. So this is a fantastic trip. Once we leave Maine, we go into New Hampshire for a day and get a chance to go up on the North Conway Scenic Railroad. And that's the perfect time of year as the colors are changing in the mountains. So really a fantastic trip up to the White Mountains. And then we also incorporate a maple sugar shack, which is how they make maple syrup. So check this tour out, 2 different dates in the fall. Our Cape Cod and the Islands trip is one of our most popular trips. You can see on the upper portion of the screen, it's sold out on 2 different dates, July 17th and September 11th. We do have 2 available dates, August 14th and September 25th. So what we do on this trip, you arrive and stay 1 night in Boston. The following day, enjoy a city tour with Old North Church, Faneuil Hall Marketplace, which is the home to the first push carts in the US, and a number of street performers. And from Boston, you'll head out to Plymouth and the Plymouth Plantation, which was a recreation of the Pilgrims' 1627 settlement. Then visit the Mayflower II, which was a reproduction of the 1620 ship that brought the Pilgrims to the United States, to the Americas. And originally, they were planning on celebrating the 400th anniversary of the Mayflower last year. Of course, the pandemic got involved there, but we'll continue to celebrate that. We'll visit the Newport area in Rhode Island and visit the famous Breakers Mansion, which was built in the 1890s by the Vanderbilts. Then take a scenic ferry ride to Martha's Vineyard for 1 day and Nantucket for another. Brandywine and the Poconos. This is a trip that we've actually added space because the first coach is sold out. So Deb Howard and Chuck Denny are operating this trip. It's a 7-day tour focusing primarily on Pennsylvania and the eastern part of Pennsylvania. So fly into Philadelphia and head out to Brandywine Valley for 4 nights, nestled in the rolling hills of Chester County, Pennsylvania. And it was here that the Battle of Brandywine took place in 1777 between George Washington and the British as part of the Revolutionary War. And you'll get a chance to visit the 2 DuPont mansions, Nemours Mansion and the Longwood Gardens. So the DuPont family was filled with philanthropists, and Nemours Mansion is a 77-room mansion on a 300-acre estate, and it was built as the home of Alfred DuPont and his second wife, Alicia, in the early 1900s. And that's filled with antiques and tapestries from the 1700s, so it's really great property to explore. Then we'll head to Longwood Gardens, which started as Pierce Farm and became from 400 acres to 1,000 acres once Pierre DuPont purchased it in 1906, and he developed that area between 1907 and 1914. The following day, we'll visit the town that chocolate built in Hershey, Pennsylvania. You'll tour the Hershey Story, which is a museum dedicated to Milton Hershey and his famous confection of Hershey chocolate that started a company nearly 20,000 strong. From there, you'll head to the Dutch country, which is Amish country, and learn about the Amish and Mennonite way of life. And you'll enjoy a delicious Amish dinner served family style. From there, you'll continue on to the Poconos to see the scenic Lehigh River Valley and stay 2 nights at the historic Shawnee Inn, which was built in 1904. You'll also get a chance to spend a day in Philadelphia, where you'll have a city tour including Independence Hall, the Liberty Bell, and the National Constitution Center. Then visit the Martin Guitar Factory to learn about one of the most beautifully sounding acoustic instruments before you fly home out of Newark, New Jersey. So this is a fantastic trip, October 2nd. And New York City and the Hudson Valley. This trip, we only have 1 date, September 24th, and there's limited space on this departure. This is a 6-day tour. We fly in and out of New York City, spending 3 nights in New York. We'll do a city tour, and that incorporates Greenwich Village, Chinatown, Times Square, and a number of other main sites like Central Park. You also get to see the Statue of Liberty in Ellis Island. And then just recently, I was making sure that Broadway was open now, and I found out Bruce Springsteen was playing this week. So if the boss is back, we know we're back. And you'll also have the opportunity to visit West Point Military Academy, which is the oldest military academy in the United States, and get a chance to tour there. Then you'll visit Hyde Park, Franklin Delano Roosevelt fame, and learn a little bit about Franklin and his wife, Eleanor. Then we'll end the trip with a Hudson River cruise to see some of those waterfront mansions along the Hudson. So again, September 24th, this is a 6-day trip. In America's music cities, you'll fly into St. Louis and spend 1 night there. Get a chance to do the St. Louis City Tour, where you'll see the famous Arch. Then head down into southern Missouri for 2 nights. And Missouri is quite a beautiful state. Very beautiful colors, especially this time of year, October. So October 21st, we did add space on our original program. And this is operated by Deb Howard and Brad Wenzel. You'll see a couple of shows in Branson, as it's the show capital of the US. And then you'll work down to Little Rock and visit the Clinton Presidential Library. So you can add that to your presidential library list. Then we'll head out to the east, stopping in Memphis for 2 nights. We'll do a city tour in Memphis that also features Beale Street, and we'll do dinner on Beale Street. And Memphis is home to the blues, so it's a big music component. Then we'll head out to Music Cities to Nashville. Nashville is home of country music and the Country Music Hall of Fame, so we'll get a chance to visit there. On the city tour, we'll also incorporate the Grand Ole Opry. So this is a really fantastic trip, 8 days, October 21st. And Magnolia Trails in the heart of Texas. This is a great trip we just created. Pop-up tour for 2 dates, October 24th and November 7th. And Chuck Benny will be leading both departures. It's a 5-day tour starting in Dallas. And we'll do a Dallas city tour that incorporates the AT&T Stadium. And AT&T Stadium is home of the Dallas Cowboys now. It's a brand new stadium with one of the largest big screen TVs. We'll visit some of the historic JFK sites like the Texas Book Depository, and then head over to the George W. Bush Presidential Library, another presidential library on your list. And the presidential library there is on the campus of SMU, and it's a multi-storied, about 3-story building. Learn about the presidency, both at the archives as well as the museum. We'll visit the Fort Worth Stockyards Historic District and Cattle Drive viewing, and then a trip out to the South Fork Ranch, which is featured in the TV series Dallas, known as the world's most famous ranch. We'll head south, heading into Waco for a city tour, and visit a little bit of the sites from the TV show Fixer Upper on HGTV, and then over to the Magnolia Markets. And there are a number of different markets and components to Magnolia there, whether it's gardening or baking. We'll visit the Silos Baking Company there, which is very popular. And then a trip to the Dr. Pepper Museum, which was built, the building itself was built in the 1900s. And you get a free Dr. Pepper, of course, as you're going in, and get a chance to really learn about the backstory to soft drinks and the rise to popularity. So Magnolia Trails in the heart of Texas, 2 dates, October and November. Then Niagara Falls. Niagara Falls in the Grand Hotel. As you can see, our first 2 trips are already sold out, October 8th and 14th, but we do have one date that we added, which is October 17th. It's a 6-day trip where you'll fly into Detroit, meet your tour manager, and stay 2 nights in Dearborn, Michigan. And that's the birthplace of none other than Henry Ford. So as part of this trip, you'll visit the Ford's River Rouge plant, where the F-150s are built. Then stop at the Henry Ford Museum and learn about the Ford family history and why they filled the automotive industry. You'll head north to the tip of Michigan and take a short ferry ride to Mackinac Island, and we'll be staying 2 nights at the Grand Hotel Mackinac. That's an 1887 resort that's held its glory and charm for over a century. Really is a terrific property you can see in the upper right-hand corner. The island is car-free, so you'll enjoy a horse-drawn carriage ride for a city tour of the island. And from Mackinac, you'll head south into the town of Frankenmuth. And this is a Bavarian-themed town with one of the largest Christmas stores in the world. Then it's on to Niagara Falls, where you'll experience the unique Behind the Falls journey on the Maid of the Mist cruise. And Chicago All Access. This is a great trip departing September 3rd with Pat Conway. 7-day trip. Again, you'll unpack once in one hotel in downtown Chicago. Do a Chicago city tour and learn about the Windy City, as well as the Great Fire, and the Prohibition gangsters that called Chicago home, like Al Capone, Machine Gun Kelly, and other Chicago outfit members. Head up to the Willis Tower, which was formerly known as the Sears Tower. Get some amazing views up there. And then visit Oak Park, which was home to Frank Lloyd Wright's studio, where he lived and worked from 1889 to 1909. You'll get a chance to see Wrigley Field. You'll visit Wrigley Field, home of the Cubs, as well as the famous Art Institute of Chicago. Then the World War II Museum and the Johnson Wax headquarters. So really all-encompassing tour right around Chicago, 7-day trip, September 3rd. Canyon de Chelly and Mesa Verde, this is a fantastic trip for some of the lesser known national parks. And you'll start out by flying in and out of Albuquerque, heading out to Acoma, the Pueblo, which is a cliff dwelling you can see up there, over to Gallup for a night, and then on to the petrified forest and painted desert in Arizona. It's really quite a spectacular sight. You'll work your way up to Chinle, which is your home base for Canyon de Chelly, and then over to Four Corners, where you can stand in 4 states at once: Utah, Colorado, Arizona, and New Mexico. From there, you'll visit Mesa Verde National Park, up to Durango, Colorado, and then stay one night in Farmington before flying out of Albuquerque. So really all-encompassing tour around that Four Corners area. The Idaho Adventure Tour already sold out 2 trips. We had a departure just recently in June 2nd, and our September 26th is sold out, so we were able to add some space. It's not always the case with hotels and vendors, but we were able to add an October 4th date. And so that's the only one remaining and the only one we plan to run, as it does get colder after October in Idaho. So a 7-day trip departing October 4th. We'll start out by flying into Spokane, Washington, head over for 2 nights at the Coeur d'Alene Resort. You can see that photo on the Lake Coeur d'Alene, and stay 2 nights there, heading over to Wallace, Idaho, which is home to a silver mine. You get a silver mine tour there. And then dinner at the Ryder Ranch, which is a cookout dinner, more of a barbecue. From there, you'll head south into Riggins, and that's where you'll do the jet boat ride on the Salmon River. And you'll get a chance over the course of this trip to see 2 rivers, the Salmon and Snake Rivers, very popular fishing areas, as well as 4 different mountain ranges. Then as you work your way south from Riggins, Riggins is a very nice hotel property that's almost all to ourselves. It's quite a beautiful resort. We'll head down south, doing the Lewis and Clark Discovery Center, and then ending out in Sun Valley, which is a year-round resort. Both skiing as well as outdoor activities in the summer are very popular there. We'll fly out of Boise back home, and this is a really, really great trip that people seem to love. Great Trains and Grand Canyons. This is one of our most popular trips. It is 6 days, and we fly in and out of Phoenix. One of the components of this is it's unpack once in Sedona, Arizona. So beautiful red rocks all around us. You'll stay at one of 3 different properties there. 5 nights there, as well as a day tour around Sedona. We'll take the trolley tour, which incorporates the Chapel of the Holy Cross. And you can see that in the upper right-hand corner. That was built in 1956, blending right into the rocks there. The following day, we'll take the Grand Canyon Railway, which was started in 1906, heading straight up to the south rim of the Grand Canyon and Bright Angel Lodge. And you'll have some time at Bright Angel to explore the rim of the canyon, getting some great photos. We'll head back into Flagstaff for dinner and back to the hotel that night. And then the following day, we'll head out to Montezuma's Castle National Monument. And that is a beautiful cliff dwelling just south of Sedona. From there, we'll head over to Jerome, which is an Old West mining town, and then finish that day by taking the Verde Canyon Railroad. And this is one of my favorite train experiences out of all of them. We have a first-class car, and you take the train through Verde Canyon, which means the Green Canyon. It's one of the more lush areas of Arizona. So this is a fantastic trip. Also get a chance to visit Old Town Scottsdale, depending on your arrival time, either on arrival or prior to departure. And our New Mexico Balloon Fiesta is one of our special event trips. We only have 1 date available on that, which is October 8th, and we already have mostly sold out trip. This is a great opportunity to see the Albuquerque Balloon Fiesta in 2 different lights. First, the Mass Ascension, which is early in the morning. As the sun's rising over the hills, you get these beautiful balloons lit up, flamed, and all that hot air blowing through it. You see the balloons taking off together. And then come back in the evening as the sun's going down for the balloon glow. So you get to see it in 2 different ways, which is a great, great festival. Then you get a chance to tour 3 different areas. Santa Fe, we'll spend 3 nights in Santa Fe as well as 2 nights in Albuquerque, doing city tours of both. And then visit Taos. We'll take the scenic drive called the High Road to Taos and do a Taos Pueblo tour, and then have some free time to shop the plaza, which is a very popular local spot. So New Mexico Balloon Fiesta, October 8th is our only departure for that. Then Smoky Mountains and Pigeon Forge holiday. Originally, we had one trip, December 5th. We were able to add space on a second for November 29th, and that'll be led by Deb Howard. This is a 5-day trip that incorporates 2 different live shows. It's the Christmas show as well as the Christmas at Dolly Parton Stampede. You also get a chance to visit Gatlinburg, the aerial tram, as well as some details about North Carolina and Tennessee. We'll do a moonshine tasting, get a chance to try that, as well as a visit to the Titanic Museum. Learn a little bit about the 1912 ship that was supposed to be unsinkable, but unfortunately did go down. And as part of the museum experience, you'll be given a card that explains the story of one of the passengers, whether they survived or perished. You'll learn along the way. Then, as we work our way through this tour, you'll have free time in both Pigeon Forge and Gatlinburg to explore on your own. We also incorporate the Great Smoky Mountains National Park on this tour, so it really is all-encompassing. And we do it right around the holiday time, so everything's decorated and all lit up. And as we move along through the year, we've seen more and more destinations open up internationally. As more of the vaccines get distributed overseas, we're seeing a lot of different destinations open up, like Athens and Iceland. And coming up, the EU's already said they plan to open in July. So as we work our way through, Athens and the Greek Isles, Greece is now taking vaccinated US travelers. This is a 9-day trip on October 12th. And what we'll do is we'll fly in and out of Athens, spend a couple of nights there, do an Athens city tour, as well incorporating the Acropolis Museum, the Parthenon. Then we'll head out on high-speed ferry to Mykonos. And on Mykonos, we'll tour the island, as well as take a day trip over to Delos and do a Delos walking tour. Then from Mykonos, we'll head over to Santorini by ferry, spending 2 nights there. And from there, we'll do a Santorini wine tour and tasting, as well as some free time to explore on your own. We'll head back into Athens by ferry, and then we offer an optional 3-night extension, which heads up into the northern part of Greece, into Kalimbaka and Delphi. So this truly is a great opportunity to learn all about Greece. The Passion Play with Bavarian Austria. This was originally scheduled. The Passion Play happens every 10 years and was scheduled for 2020, but they smartly moved it back 2 years to allow a little bit of time for things to settle down. So the Passion Play is the story of Jesus Christ in theater performance, done in German. And this is a 9-day trip, happens July, August, and September of 2022. You'll fly into Munich and do a Munich city tour. Then we'll head south, getting a chance to stop for photos at Neuschwanstein Castle, that of famous King Ludwig. We'll head over to the Oberammergau area, staying 1 night in the area and visiting the Passion Play. We do have reserved seats for the Passion Play that I'll talk about in a minute here. The play itself is broken down into 2 parts. Early afternoon for a few hours. We'll break for dinner then, and then finish the play in the evening. From Oberammergau, we'll head out to the east to Salzburg and the area around Mondsee, which is famous for the Sound of Music. We'll do a Salzburg city tour as well as a tour of some of the sites from the movie. Then we'll take a Danube river cruise just for a few hours to explore and experience the Danube. If you've never been on it, it is really, truly a beautiful river. And end up in Vienna for 3 nights. In Vienna, we'll do a city tour, give you some time on your own as well to explore, and we do have an optional tour available there. Then, for anyone who wants to continue on and explore a little bit more of Eastern Europe, we do offer an optional 2-night extension to Prague. So on this trip with the Passion Play, again, it's broken down into 2 parts, in the afternoon and the evening, divided by dinner. And our seats are in the bright yellow, so quite good seating there, category 2. So again, I wanted to touch on some of the specials for attendees today. If you book a new 2021 or 22 cruise, tour, European River Cruise or tour, by next Friday, July 9th, we'll reduce the deposit to $150. So originally $350. The brochure shows $199, but we'll take more off of that, giving you a $150 low-risk deposit. Also, for the European River Cruises, we'll offer a 1-category upgrade. So if you book some of the lower categories, we'll bring you up a category. And if you book and pay for your travel protection plan with deposit, and we'll also take $20 off per person off of your protection plan. How you get this is you must use the savings code VTS 150. So VTS 150 for your discounts. Again, book by next Friday, July 9th. And how do you book? How do you make a reservation? Well, you can call our office. The number's up above. You can email Joe at joe@afctours.com or visit us at afcvacations.com and fill out one of the 3 forms, whether it's tours, cruise, or international form. Submit that and make sure you use the savings code VTS 150. So where's your next AFC vacation to? I hope you look at some of these destinations as well as the many, many others in our brochure and plan your next trip with us. Thank you again so much for attending. If you do have any questions, you can email them to april@afctours.com. And we just want to thank you for your time today and hope you get out on the road and have some great memories along the way. Thank you again and have a great day.